What's good, Gifted? This is your host, Steph Wood, and I'm coming to you again from my city, Norfolk, Virginia. What is good, my gifted people? Again, today is another day that you woke up, you got air in your lungs, you've got a heartbeat, you can move your arms, hopefully you can move your legs. But you know what? Even if you can't do any of that, you can breathe. And today is another day to take those breaths, make those breaths count. Forward to the next thing that you have for you and get to the very next level of whatever it is that you are. What is good? I'm your host, Steph Wood. I've been sitting here all these months, these weeks, and watching this trauma go on in our own country. And I spoke on it when I had Nicole Ellis on, and it was a humbling interview, to say the least, because a lot of what we do at the Live Your Gift firm centers around making sure that minority entrepreneurs, people who are counted out, oppressed, who are not given the same opportunities, continue to have those opportunities and have the best of those opportunities. And to see our country being again found in this place has been extremely hard for so many of my friends and my family members. And it's just tragic. And I can't even imagine what it must be like to walk a minute in those shoes. But for my 30-second soapbox, I just want to point out that there are people with you. There are more people with you than you even could imagine. So I want you to be encouraged. I want you to know that we all have your back, that there are people out here who completely stand against any kind of racial or sexual or ageism or any kind of, ageism, sexism, racism, any kind of thing that puts one person down and lifts another person up. I said I was going to just say my 30 seconds on my episode the other day, but I find myself still growing, having some of the hardest conversations I've had with some of my longest and oldest friends, both Black, white, Hispanic, Italian, half Italian, what have you. But I say all that to say that even with all that, I'm still grateful that I've had these conversations, these tough conversations, because they're getting us to a place where we've never been in our relationships. And I would be amiss to say that it didn't affect us all in some way or another on a level higher or lower than each other. But even now, I would say that I feel more encouraged today than I felt yesterday. I feel better in this moment than I felt in a couple moments before. So I'm hopeful. But that's also a privilege that I have, because my skin happens to be a little bit lighter than yours or a little bit darker than yours. Whatever the case, I don't take the privilege to know my rights, the privilege to understand my rights, and the privilege to execute them for granted. That's my 30-second soapbox. Having said all that, I'm pretty hyped because I've got a guy on tonight that you're gonna love. I'm so excited to have this guy on tonight. He is a creative, he's a genius. He is the owner, founder, and CEO of OWP Design. He's my new guy. He's the guy. Let me introduce to you, my gifted audience, Martin Faison. What's good?
What's good? I'm so happy to be on. Thank you for the opportunity, and I'm looking forward to this.
I'm so glad to have you. So, I got to ask about COVID. What's your COVID routine been like? Are you home with the family? What's good?
Well, pretty much same thing every day, get my daughter ready. And after that, kind of on my own, taking care of my business, doing some OWP stuff. I'm no longer teaching right now. School is out. So I've been able to zero in and focus in on doing some things that I've been wanting to do.
Gosh, I've heard that so many times, Martin. Literally everyone is kind of the people who are trying to like find their way and always grow and maneuver and stuff, they're looking at this COVID thing like, wow, I have this opportunity to take advantage of being at home, being isolated, so to speak. Are you finding that you're feeling that as well?
Absolutely. Outside of this, I wear a lot of hats between teaching, coaching, trying to do my own thing, family. I don't have these opportunities to really like be at home like I've been. I don't have the opportunities to be able to read like I've been able to. I don't usually have these opportunities to be able to focus on per se myself. So I really enjoy this opportunity. I know that it is at the cost of, you know what I'm saying, a lot of lives, and I don't view it as a like a great thing, but I do appreciate what it's done for me and my family.
Well, it's important, Martin, because, and you're right, obviously none of us are sitting back going, wow, I'm so happy that this is where we are.
Right.
Nobody obviously is like in a moment where they're like, oh, this is where I want to be. But there is a positive flip on making the most of whatever situation you are in. And it sounds like you are doing just that. OWP Designs, tell us a little bit about of what, you guys offer in that business.
Well, OWP, what we mainly offer is web design as well as some print marketing. We also do some stuff with social media marketing, and that's pretty much. But we focused in on the web design, and most of our clients have used that service.
Well, that is great. Congratulations on everything you're doing thus far.
Thank you so
Tell
much.
me. Yeah, you are most welcome. Tell me. And honestly, I'm not going to sit here in front or whatever. I have been amused, to say the least, at your talents and gifts and everything you've been brought to, everything we're doing here with the Live Your Gift Firm. So I appreciate you. So I stand by that and I second that. Great work. But what led you to wanting to open OWP, and what does that even stand for?
OWP stands for Obsession with Progression. And it's kind of like a motto of mine. Like, regardless of what you're going through, what's going on in your life, regardless of what you're trying to do, just be obsessed with progressing. And it doesn't have to be any major progression, but as long as we're going forward, we're going in the right direction. So that's kind of the gist of what OWP stands for and what it actually means to me. As far as starting OWP, it started 2 years ago in 2008, almost 2 years ago exactly, maybe like 2 years and 2 months. I really wanted to get into business for myself. I've always wanted to be an entrepreneur. I never really knew exactly where my lane was in that. But I figured I had a talent. I had been making some websites and I had done some things for some friends just, for free, just doing some favors. And they would always tell me like, you should probably try to monetize it, try to do something for you, for yourself. And I took that advice and I jumped off the ledge with it, and here we are 2 years later, still kicking, still building, still creating, and it's been a blast.
Well, congratulations on everything you're doing so far again. And I heard you say a couple of things in what you just mentioned, but the first thing that punched out at me was that your friends were saying, hey, you got to do this, or your friends were supporting your business or getting you to do this or getting you to create this website for them. And isn't that kind of how it always starts within entrepreneurism? Like you reach out to your immediate market, which happens to be your friends and family.
Absolutely. Your circle is so important, and it's super important that you surround yourself with people who have your best interest in mind. And I truly believe that the people I surround myself, they truly do have my best interest in mind. They didn't try to step on the gift. They didn't try to smother the gift. They tried to enhance it, and they tried to promote it. And I'm super thankful for them, not just friends, but my family, my wife, my parents. Like, nobody has really tried to dissuade me from doing what I'm trying to do. And that's really important to me, because I do believe imposter syndrome is super real, where even if we know for a fact we have gifts or we have talents, sometimes that voice in the back of your head is telling you like, you don't belong here. You can't do this. You can't do that. So it's super important to have those people around you that build you up and don't tear you down.
I know that's right. And amen to that. Here at What's Good Gifted, we put a D on the end of amen to make sure that you understand that we mean Amen. Because that is a real thing. One thing you also said about this gift that you had in this new venture you wanted to do with OWP was that you had to kind of jump off a ledge. What was that like for you? And how did you get to the point where you're like, all right, here we go. Let's go.
It's kind of scary. It was kind of scary. And
Yeah.
it initially started with just a Facebook post. I was like, this is something I'm doing. If you're interested in some help with this, I'm here, you know, and that's pretty much how it started. And it started with, I would say a little bit of fear, and you just like, are people going to really accept that, you know what I'm saying, I'm trying to do something on my own? Is this something that's really acceptable? And this is, I want to say at this time, it wasn't really picking up yet. It's like businesses like around me, but now it's at a point where like everybody around me is like doing their own thing and trying to build something for themselves, and trying to set that foundation for their kids and trying to teach that level of entrepreneurship. Something that I really didn't get as a kid when I was younger. I really didn't get, you know, building something for yourself is more along the lines of, you know, go to school is traditional, you know, go to school, get a job, you know, but I've had the opportunity now to see that there are other avenues, and I'm really enjoying what I'm doing now.
You know, that is something that is such a good point that you mentioned, and what wisdom you have to be the age that you are, because you're right. You know, it's not a popular thing to be like, hey, mom, dad, community, auntie, uncle, whatever the case may be, I'm going to go do this. And they're like, wait, what? You know, especially if you've grown up in a rural community, or if you've come from a community with, you know, there's not a lot around there. And you
Right.
did grow up in Southampton County, Virginia, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
What was it like? I mean, I know it had to be great. So I grew up on the Eastern Shore of Virginia. So it was a different kind of rural.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm from a city, grew up on the Eastern Shore of Virginia from the age of 10. So it was a different kind of rural, but still same. What was it like growing up there? And what kind of values do you have from that human experience that you carry now into OWP?
Super country, a lot of fields, a lot of trees. But what I did take away from the community I grew up in is a very tight-knit community. And it doesn't matter how long I stay away. I don't get to go home as much as I like to, but it doesn't matter how long I stay away. Whenever I go home, like, it's all love. It's like I've seen these people plenty of times since the last time I seen them, but maybe I haven't seen them in like 5 years. But that sense of community and that sense of family is something I hold on to, and I still cherish that. And I try to build that with the people around me now, even though it's not quite the same because Raleigh's a little bit bigger. But I try to promote that type of family atmosphere.
And it seeps from everything you do, because it truly does transcend what you're trying to do, because it's very prevalent. You said one thing that was kind of poignant. You said that you have an untraditional look at entrepreneurism. You said that you're trying to bridge some gaps and get to the place where people of all kinds can really branch out and be comfortable in that, understanding that you yourself struggled with getting to that space where you're like, okay, I don't want to just do the normal thing. I don't want to do the regular quote unquote thing. I want to do this entrepreneurism thing. What kind of untraditional methods have you really adapted, and what's up next?
I'm not sure I have any like untraditional methods. To be honest, I don't know. Like, a lot of the things I really don't know. Like, some people ask me a lot of questions about building businesses or trying to have your own business, and a lot of the questions I'm like, look, I really don't have the answers. But I'm a student. I'm a constant student, and I always want to learn. I'm always trying to read. I'm always trying to research. Google's my best friend. I feel like you can learn how to do anything on YouTube.
Yeah.
So I will say my approach is like, there's nothing outside of your reach. And you can, if there's something you want to learn how to do, you learn how to do it. Like, and that's where that imposter syndrome comes back in, where you feel like you can't do certain things just because maybe you don't have a certain background in something. But if you truly love what you're doing and you really want to pursue it, like, it's nothing that can keep you from doing what you want to do.
I mean, yeah. I don't even, you left me speechless, and I don't know. I'm like, Like, I don't even know what to say because it's so right. And it's so smart. I mean, and it's true. You know, you said one thing that was awesome, that you said that nothing is outside of your reach. Nothing is outside of the grasp of anything that you have. And that doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter what race you are, what culture you were brought up in. You know, some of the tough questions we're having in this climate right now has a lot to do with this word culture. And this word culture has been constantly attacked and attached to color of skin, to how much melanin you have in your skin. And they're generalized in these pockets of racism labeled as culture.
Right.
One thing I wanted to ask you, growing up in the area that you grew up in, and now seeing what you've grown up in, and looking at it now as a young African American, whatever, Black male, knowing culture kind of looks different no matter what age, race, whatever bracket you come in. What was your family culture? What was it like?
My family culture was awesome, and I can't even express how important my family is to me, and how I can base everything I am, my entire being, off of like who I was raised and the people I was raised with. Two hardworking parents, 3 older brothers, an older sister. Some of my siblings are like quite a bit older than me, like 16 years, 13 years. But you wouldn't really, but traditionally in families like that, where they have those wider gaps in like age, there are kind of like breaks in like, I guess, like familial bond. But I've never had those issues like with my older siblings, like, and my family really means a lot to me, and we still stick together really tight, like even now. And I think it's more important now than ever that we continue to like stick together and make sure we got each other's back. So family means absolutely everything to me.
Would you agree that, just as being a young man, just you know, I'm 43, you're probably half my age at this point.
Not quite.
Well, thank you, sweetheart. But wouldn't you agree that culture is more about the everyday choices we make, the everyday experiences we have, versus this big net that we throw on to races or throw on to age or sex or whatever? That culture is more about what we wake up with and consistently do. Do you agree with that?
I do believe that there are different cultures depending on subgroups, and it can be race, gender, age. However, I do believe, like you said, we wake up every day and we create our own culture. We create the culture in our homes. We create the culture in our friend groups. We create the culture in our work environment. So it's really based on how we perceive things and how we view things and the way we want to go about things. And that's how we build our own culture.
And it's so important because one of the things that my daughter is struggling with, being a young, half Italian, everybody knows we're just white people. She's struggling with making sure that she is clear where she stands. Are you seeing that as a coach, as a mentor of young people, that some of the young people are just really not only being awakened, but being forced to say, hey, look, this side that I saw on. And that following up with President Obama's speech and address to the nation, that young people really change the world. Where are you at with that?
Absolutely. If you look at any revolution in, I guess, human history, it's not the older people who are carrying out those revolutions. They might be the ones who are instilling the ideals, but if we're talking boots on the ground, it's your younger people. It's your younger people. Who are the people that can actually march 30 miles? It's not really your older people. It's really your younger people who can do that, who do those types of things. So the burden does lie on the younger people. And I think that the younger people are starting to see that, and they understand that, you know, I have a responsibility. And I can't just stand by and let people assume where I stand. I have to go forward and tell people exactly where I stand. So there is no assumption. There shouldn't be an assumption about how I feel about something, especially if it's
Exactly.
super important. You should be able to look at me, or we've already had a conversation. You know exactly where I'm at with it. So you don't even come sideways with the foolishness. So you already know what it is. And I think that's super important. And I think that the young people are standing up and making their case known and making their opinions known.
Yeah. You know, I come from a family where I was adopted into a regular white family, a little bit of Irish and American. And I come into it being Sicilian and Italian, which are two different things. Let's be clear.
Okay.
Most people would just call us mafia folks, but you know, don't worry about that. I'm definitely not going to even touch it. Uh, but you know, you always kind of feel like you're kind of different. You know, you feel like you're kind of just not exactly like everyone else around you. And I can't imagine what that must be like magnified 1,000 times. And then having that just showed and manipulated and brought down. It must be one of the toughest places to be in. I applaud you. I know this OWP design thing is also going to be a brilliant thing. I've witnessed it. Tell me a little bit about the process to get here. I know you mentioned that this was something your friends were telling you, but this wasn't necessarily your educational path. Tell us a little bit about what you've been doing, coaching, mentoring. Tell us a little bit about that.
Okay. Well, currently I'm the head varsity girls basketball coach at Knightdale High School. I've been coaching at Knightdale High School since 2011. I took a year off and I did something else for a year, but this is wrapping up my 9th year at Knightdale High School. I've had the opportunity to coach some absolutely wonderful young ladies and young men. I really get a kick out of seeing them like grow up. Like I'm not that old, but like a lot of the kids that I've coached are like graduating college, starting families, starting careers, and that's like the most rewarding thing. One of the most rewarding things I've been able to experience. And I don't take that job lightly. I don't take the responsibility of having the ear of tomorrow's leaders. I don't take that for granted. I truly believe that they listen to what I have to say sometimes. So I try to make sure that the things that I'm saying, they count. And I don't want to waste their time. And they know how I am about time and wasting it. And it's something we can't get back. So I don't want to waste their time either. And I'm making sure that the things we do, the things I say are positive things and something that can push them forward.
How wise are you to know that time is a commodity? It is definitely one of the most valuable commodities that we have.
Absolutely.
You know, and like you said, something we just can't get back. One of the things that I've really encountered in my entrepreneurial journey are these time stealers. You know who I'm talking about. You know, the ones who just take, and there's nothing on the end of it. There's just, you know, there's nothing positive. There's nothing uplifting. There's nothing there. Have you encountered that? And what are your like tips? Do you have a tip that you could give us to get through it?
What I will say about them is I'm convinced time stealers don't know they're time stealers, and time stealers don't even understand the importance of time, because if they understood the importance of it, they wouldn't steal it. So I start with sometimes I feel like I can't affect change on like huge scales, but I can affect change in the environments that I'm in. And one of the biggest things one of the biggest things I'm always telling my kids is about time. And I told my kids, like my basketball players, we don't practice more than an hour and a half. One, because after an hour and a half, y'all not paying me any mind. And two, if we can't get it done in an hour and a half, we were in here messing around anyways, and it's time to go home. So like, and I try to encourage them and inform them like how important that is. They've been kicked out of practice, and I'll end practice 20 minutes in if we still in time.
I love it.
because I got work to do. Y'all got homework. Like it's no need for us to mess around in here if we're not in here about business. So
Exactly. And it's so important because a lot of coaches will just beat them down to death, run them half to death. And again, we're trying to get teenage girls, teenage boys, teenagers, period, to listen to you for an extended amount of time when there are so many other distractions, so many other things that they want to do. Getting in there, getting it done also just really proves how efficient you are. And so good on you, because I would say keep pushing that whole regimen.
right.
And you will have really, really successful players. This is another episode of What's Good Gifted. I am your host, Steph Wood, coming to you from my city, Norfolk, Virginia. I have had the pleasure for the last half hour to be talking with my new guy, Martin Faison of OWP Designs. Martin, what's been good now that you've been having this business, and what are you expecting now for the next coming years? Is it just a matter of time before you get through COVID? What's your plan?
Well, I'm hoping to expand. One of the things I want to do is just continue to push that entrepreneurial spirit in the youth. And I was talking to someone. I actually had a meet up with my players today, and we were talking. And I was telling them about I had an idea of something I wanted to start when we got back to school. I want to start a little club just to promote like financial literacy and entrepreneurship, and just
Love it.
some things that you would never hear.
Yes.
Just some things you would probably never hear. And they were like super excited about it. And they were like, yeah, we take all these math classes and things, but they don't teach us the math we can really use. I'm like, I don't have all the answers, but I got Google, I got YouTube. You can find them, and we can figure it out. But
And you got people.
Right.
People.
Absolutely.
Anything can be achieved by a group, by a team.
Absolutely.
And that's one thing that I'm really trying to hone in on these young entrepreneurs. I coached a lot coming up, and basketball was my thing, and it's really my love. And we've been hosting the Full Time Out now with Ace Custis for a couple of segments, and it's been great. And one of the things that Scott Burrell told us in a recent interview, and I tell you, Martin, I was completely blown away that I was even able to interview him. It's so humbling. I haven't even brought like myself to put it out yet. I'm so nervous about the whole thing. I'm so nervous about the whole thing.
Don't be nervous. Put it out.
What's that?
Don't be nervous. Put it out.
I know. One thing he said was that MJ always required this work ethic, this hustle, this commitment to excellence, this diligence. Are you expecting that of your kids and these players, and do you expect it of yourself?
I do expect it of my players. Maybe not at the level of MJ, because MJ is MJ, but
right.
I do expect them to show a certain level of work ethic, and it goes back to my thing about time. Like, if we aren't taking advantage of the opportunities we have, like, we're literally wasting away. And we have to be engaged in the things that we're doing. And that requires a high level of work ethic. And if we aren't displaying that work ethic, then we're really just wasting time. Oh. So it is something that I try to push to them, and I hope they may not remember all the things I said, but I'm hoping a few of these things, a couple of years down the line, just pop in their head. Like, you know what? I need to put my feet to the ground and get it done. So.
Yes, and a lot of what we're trying to do here in our life just has so much to do with growing as individual people, making sure we manifest all things that God has in us, the gifts that He has in us. In what ways are you multiplying gifts? And then these gifts that you have with reaching people, with website design, with content creation, leadership, like, what are those gifts and how are they marrying themselves now in your career?
That's another question I truly don't even know the answer to. I really feel like I'm in the infancy of OWP. Like, some days I don't even know what it's going to be the next day. So I keep going, and I keep going, and I keep working with the clients that I work with. And sometimes, because I don't want to pigeonhole it into something, like, I want to have flexibility to be able to do like pretty much anything. People ask me all the time, like, do you do this? Do you do that? I'm like, I haven't done it yet, but I mean, I can figure it out. Like, we can work with, like, after you, there might be something on offer. So
Right.
I don't really, yeah. So I don't really want to like pigeonhole it and say, this is the thing I'm trying to do. Like, it's pretty open. Web design is what opened the door for me, but I don't limit it to just that.
Well, and I wouldn't, because God is not a God of limitation, and
Absolutely.
he has something more. Every time you think, oh, I've gotten, there's more. Every time you think, oh, I've learned that, no, there's more. Every time you think, oh, I've gotten it, I figured it out. No, there's literally more. And people who have the gift of work ethic, dedication, diligence, find themselves on the right side of success more often than they find themselves on the wrong side. And Martin, my friend, you are on the right side of success. This has been an episode of What's Good Gifted. Again, I'm your host, Steph Wood, coming to you from my city, Norfolk, Virginia. I've been on with the gifted Martin Faison. Martin, what would you tell some young entrepreneurs that are coming up? What would you tell the young Black man that was coming up in entrepreneurism right now?
Simple, like, and it's so cliche-ish, but just go ahead and do it. Like, don't get caught up in whether or not you feel as though you're super qualified or anything like that. Just go ahead and pursue the things that you want to pursue, because what you're going to end up doing if you don't is building up such a level of regret that you're going to be like, I had an opportunity, I could have done something, but I didn't do it. And that's the last thing you want, because at the end of the day, say you do something and it don't work out, like, what did you lose? You didn't lose anything. You learned something. So I would just say, just do it and keep going.
I love it. And regret on top of an instability and an unstable environment that we are all living in, this insecure world, this crazy world, this world of hate and murder and rage and violence only makes it that much harder for us. So I agree with you, Martin. Get started going. How can people find you at OWP?
You can find me on Facebook, OWP Design 2018. You can find me on Instagram at OWP Design. If you ever want to shoot me an email, you can shoot me an email at martin@owpdesign.com.
And I hope that you will soon be able to find Martin at thelygfirm.com.
Absolutely.
Hey, I gotta get my ticket and I'm throw my lot.
I understand. Got to.
And Martin, you've been such a pleasure to interview. Gosh, you're a pro. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. And this has been another episode. You are welcome. This has another episode of What's Good Gifted. I'm your host, Steph Wood, coming to you from my city, Norfolk, Virginia. We're proud of you people. Keep pushing. Keep getting every day, everything you have. Give it every single thing you have. Go to bed knowing they're best. We'll be in touch soon. Stay blessed.